This is a 13 Weather Impact Alert.
Hey everybody, I'm Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks.
And I'm meteorologist Amber Twardy, and we have a 13 weather impact alert in place for today.
Yeah, a little bit of fun action to talk about. Snow is back in the forecast, and so is cold temperatures. This forecast has layers to it. It's not just going to be lake effect snow, it's going to be the cold conditions that come along with it. Starting this morning, or it really started late last night, and then it's expected to continue all the way through Thursday. We've already seen some snow.
Yeah, already this band of snow that's been making its way really through our northern area. So north of Grand Rapids, especially through Muskegon County into Newaygo County and northern Kent County for the most part. We definitely have some more on the way, though. This is not the end of it by any means.
Yeah, no, this is just the beginning. Now, the National Weather Service did go ahead and issue some alerts. I will say our forecast isn't perfectly aligned with the alerts that have been issued, but that's because this forecast had a little finesse to it. You know, as the cold front itself is approaching, things are changing and we're continuing to fine tune it. It's certainly not a slam dunk forecast. And you know what, that happens during the winter season, especially when you're talking about the influence of the lake and a cold front working through in these very cold temperatures. So there's lots of things to look at, but regardless of whether you're underneath a winter storm warning or a winter weather advisory, you are going to see some snowfall, some 2 to 4 inches, some much higher amounts than that within the lake effect bands themselves.
Yeah, plenty of alerts that many areas across West Michigan are seeing, especially closer to the lakeshore, but I would even say a little bit further east of that, slightly further inland. Counties that are bordering lakeshore counties is really where we're likely to see these greatest impacts.
Yeah.
Cold front will be sweeping through, bringing the first round of snowfall, but following behind it, still more lake effect on the way.
Yes, absolutely. So once this cold front moves in, that's going to be the driving force, right? That's going to be what we need to really give a little umph to the forecast, because this morning's snow has been lackluster. Unless you're in Oceana and in Mason County, you've seen your fair share of snow already, and you may be thinking to yourself, what do you mean lackluster? We've had plenty. There's more to come where that is. We've got winds right now sustained out of the west-northwest, gusting at about 25 miles per hour, and this is just the beginning of the wind.
Yeah, things really picking up as that cold front is going to be moving through. Gusts up to about 25 to even 35 miles an hour. So we're getting a little bit later on in the day, but especially as we're getting into this evening and the overnight hours, things could be picking up, getting closer to 35 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts. This is what's going to be driving a lot of that snow further inland rather than the immediate lakeshore, seeing most of that snowfall.
So this is when we start to talk about the lakeshore hop, I call it. So we know where US 31 is, right? That sets up right through the heart of all of our lakeshore counties. I think what could end up happening this afternoon and evening is that we see the lake effect snow jump to the US 31 corridor and then set up between US 31 and US 131. I know they're confusing, trust me, they get me all the time, the difference between the two, but it's right in that sweet spot. Eastern edge of lakeshore counties and then western edge of counties bordering lakeshore. That's going to be the sweet spot of the highest snowfall totals.
Yeah, that first line that's moving through, that's going to be along that cold front. After that line, though, we will be able to see more lake effect on the way. So first round, first line, that's what's going to be bringing most areas, pretty much everybody, at least a little bit of snowfall, likely between about 2 to 4 inches. We'll continue to see lake effect following behind that as we're heading into tonight, tomorrow morning. This looks like it might be a little bit lighter for us, but with those westerly winds, that gets pushed a lot further inland than what we would usually end up seeing with more of the snow that would be really bordering the immediate lakeshore. Instead, a lot of that just moving further and further to the east.
Yeah, so we talk about fetch a lot in terms of lake effect. We're not talking about the kind that the dogs play, right? We're talking about the amount of time that the air and the moisture in the atmosphere can spend over open water. So what's happening is the winds are northwest, 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 so it's getting a lot of fetch or a lot of time to spend over Lake Michigan. And then as it hits that sweet spot between Ottawa and Allegan County, the winds shift it out of the west. Look at how long this model is keeping this lake effect band alive, stretching from, let's say, looks like around Saugatuck region, right? All the way over to the Metro Detroit area and then picking back up again over towards Lake St. Clair. With that being said, we're going to see some impressive numbers squeezed out of a very finite band, but we also see additional lake effect snow bands to the north of that. It just will likely be a very fine powdery snow because of how, one, cold the temperatures are going to be, and two, strong the winds are.
Yeah, after we get some of those totals that are really starting to ramp up, that's especially going into tonight as well, as we're seeing more of that lake effect moving in. Past that, things do kind of start to die down down as we're getting into the end of the work week, really into Friday. But how much snow are we expecting? Well, the heaviest bands could still be seeing upwards of 6, possibly even 8 inches of snowfall underneath those heaviest snow bands. Look at the lakeshore, though. We are going to start to see some of those totals, but a little bit lower. 3 inches possible for South Haven. Now, lower near the lakeshore is what we're expecting out of really that lakeshore hop that Sam was talking about, too.
And then you notice, right, you've still got Muskegon stretching through Grand Rapids in a nice little 6 to 8 belt there. You've got another little bit of a stronger belt that looks to stretch through southern Allegan County, Berry County, clipping northern Kalamazoo and Calhoun County. So in those pockets, I expect us to be in a 6 to 8 inch range, possibly some higher amounts, 10 inches. You know, we'll get a couple that will impress us. On a broader scale, I would say we comfortably sit at about 2 to 4 inches of snow for everyone.
Yeah.
And then you have those localized bands that have higher amounts. Is that the worst snow we've ever seen here in West Michigan? No. It's just always fun to kind of give that little bit more of an in-depth forecast with lake effect, because mile by mile that you drive, it is going to dramatically change. And then it's not just the lake effect, it's the cold too.
Yeah, with those winds that will be blowing, really cooling things down as we follow behind that cold front, the winds make it feel even colder. So a lot of our feels like temperatures dipping down, getting closer to about 20 degrees by this evening, but really overnight, that's when things start to set in, feeling a lot colder for us. So wind chills that are dipping down into the negatives, below 0 is what we're going to be feeling like as we're waking up and getting out the door Thursday morning.
And if the snow's not going to stop you, this should. I mean, this would stop me. That's cold, right? I mean, we're talking sub-zero wind chill values, and yes, I know there's some of you who are like, I don't want to hear the wind chill. I want to hear the actual temperature. We are still talking low teens all day long throughout your Thursday, which isn't fun. Then you get hit with that 35, 40 mile per hour wind gust. And you don't want to be outside in it, simply put. So lots of factors at play here. We've got lake effect snow. We've got the cold front itself bringing a brief round of system snow along with it. And then we also have the cold temperatures.
Yeah, and then something else I want to mention too is just with those blowing winds, with those heaviest snow bands, reduced visibility is also going to be an issue, especially for this evening's commute, this Wednesday evening's commute, and then also for Thursday morning's commute too.
Yes, I'm happy you pointed that out. The 2 commutes impacted mostly will be the evening commute tonight and then into tomorrow morning's commute. I think we'll have a back-to-bed forecast for some kiddos come tomorrow morning. But we appreciate you all so much for listening to us ramble about the weather, our favorite thing to do. For meteorologist Amber Twardy and Chief Meteorologist Samantha Jacks, have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay warm, bundle up if you're headed out tomorrow.